Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hey there nation, welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back with another edition of Warhammer-Wednesdays, where we showcase Warhammer Fantasy Battle Reports every Wednesday during our Fantasy Gaming Weeks with our series The Golden Age. And this is Battle Report number 109 of 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and is a 3,000 point battle that's fought between Wood Elves as well as Bretonnians. My friend Smells Like Febreze, she is bringing the Wyld Hunt, a 3,000 point Wood Elves army, and I'm bringing the Blackstone Crusade, a 3,000 point Bretonnians army. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to play some background music. While the music is playing, we'll show you photos of both armies as well as the army lists as well. If you want to see exactly what we're bringing for this battle report, you could either pause and take a look at your own leisure as the army lists go through, or you can check down the description box below for information about our armies. So with that being said, let's get this battle report on a roll.
Crom, I've never prayed you before. I have no tongue for it. No one, not even you, will remember if we were good men or bad, why we fought, or why we died. No. All that matters is that two stood against many. That's what's important. Balor pleases you, Crom. So grant me one request. Grant me revenge. And if you do not listen, then to hell with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
Alright, so the scenario rules for this one is Battle Line. It is the most typical game of Warhammer Fantasy that we play on this channel, with standard deployment as well as standard victory conditions. So with the scenario rules over, let's go and talk about the battle plan real quick. Alright, so here's an overhead shot of the entirety of the battlefield. As you can see, we're playing on a 4x6 table. I'm deployed on the near side of the table. My friend Smells Like Febreze is deployed upon the far side of the table. And pretty much my plan for the most part is just to basically charge forward as quick as I can and try to destroy my opponent. I am playing Bretonnians, so my tactics aren't exactly all that complicated, especially since my army is a cavalry-based army for the most part as well. The only thing I really have to worry about is the flanks on this one, because Wood Elves, especially if you're playing it with a Forest Spirit army like my friend Smells Like Febreze does, you do have to worry about being outflanked because of the Rouse to Wrath ability. My friend has Dryka, the special character, and she allows to have D3 units of Forest Spirits that can pop up with any force on the battlefield, and there's a force to my right hand flank as well as the bottom left hand corner, so I do have to worry about that. So because of that, that is something I got to worry about. She has a Treeman as well as a unit of Treekin that she has on standby with that Rouse to Wrath ability as well. So what I have to do, of course, is try to defend my flanks for the most part. As you can see, my army has changed up a little bit since the last time I played this. Since the last time I did a battle report, I decided to adjust my army list a little bit. I moved some points around, got rid of some things, and so, condensed some things as well, just to make it a little bit more lasting longer as far as I'm concerned. So that's exactly what I did, and that's what I'm trying to do for the most part. As you can see, I have my cavalry force, my light cavalry, my yeomen deployed up forward to act as blockers, as well as to protect my flanks, my main advances. My main plan is to crush the center as well as the left-hand side of the army by using my Knights Errant, my huge unit of Grail Knights, as well as my huge unit of Knights of the Realm, in order to kind of push to the center and destroy the left-hand flank. At the same time, I plan on defending my right-hand flank with that huge unit of Questing Knights there on the right-hand side. Hopefully they can engage Durthu, which is the special character on the other side of the battlefield. Hopefully I can engage him in close combat and take him out. My biggest concerns are both the Sisters of Twilight on the left-hand side. That's why my Grail Knights will be going to that direction, and Durthu on the right-hand side, which my Questing Knights will probably take care of for the most part. And everything else just kind of goes in the center and just try to defeat my opponent through combat res for the most part. And that's pretty much my battle plan for this one. So the battle plan over, let's go and talk about deployment real quick. So Vanguard forward for the Blackstone Crusade on the left-hand side. That is the Realm Hussars, unit of 5 yeomen with crossbows. And on the left-hand side of my army is where most of my forces are located. On the left-hand side, that is a unit called the Silver Squires, a unit of 9 Knights Errant with full command. They have heavy armor and lances, as well as shield riding bartered war horses. They also have an infantry baron, gives them +1 to strength when they charge. However, for the impetuous test, they suffer -2 to the leadership test for that as well. Right next to them is a huge unit of Grail Knights. That unit is called the Blackstone Crusade. It consists of 10 Grail Knights with full command. They have heavy armor, lances, shields, as well as riding bartered war horses. And they also got the Grail Vow as well. They also got the Banner Defense, giving them 4 board save against all missile attacks, including magic missiles, which is really cool as well. At the same time, that unit also got a couple of characters. First of all, I have Remy de Appion, Duchess Lioness. She is my Bretonnian lord. She's also the general of my army. She's got a Grail Vow, also rides a bartered war horse. She's also got the Virtue of Knightly Temper, which basically gives for every attack that basically she gets hit on the charge. She also makes additional attacks for that. She also Sword of the Ladies Champion, which means her strength is always 1 point higher than her target's toughness, and she has Serene's Lock, which means that she can't suffer more than 1 wound in any one phase as well. It is still affected by Killing Blow, but you know, them's the break at this point as well. She's also equipped with heavy armor as well as a shield as well, so she's got a 2-up armor save, 5 ward save, 4 ward save against missile attacks, which is really, really cool as well. At the same time, also looking at Unit 2 is another one of my paladins as well. His name is Lair the Beasts. He is a paladin. He's equipped with a great weapon. He's also got a shield, bartered warhorse, Grail Vow as well. He's also armed with heavy armor mounted on a bartered warhorse, and he's got the Virtue of Heroism, which means he has heroic Killing Blow, which makes him extremely deadly in close combat as well. Now there on the right hand side as well, I have a unit called the Pride of Lioness. It is a unit of 10 Knights of the Realm with full command as well. They have heavy armor, lances, shields, as well as riding bartered war horses. They also have the Standard Discipline, giving them +1 to their leadership. And leading that unit 2 are 2 more characters as well. First of all, I have Lorelei of the Ravens. She's a Prophetess of the Lady. She's a level 4 wizard with a hand weapon, bartered war horse. She's also got the Silver Mirror as well. She's also using the Lore of the Lady. Her spells are basically Mr. Shalon's Wrath of Righteousness, Spiteful Glance, as well as a Lady's Virtue of Valor as well. And also in that unit as well is my another paladin that I have as well. Her name is Jeanne de Race. She is a Marshal of Lioness. She is a paladin, and she's also my Battle Standard Bearer as well. I decided to get rid of Rapunzel the Lioness because while she was a pretty cool special character, she really didn't do much of anything for my army, so I figured I could probably use those points elsewhere. She just cost 230 points just by herself, so I figured I could use those points elsewhere. And so that's what I basically did as well. So she is riding a heavy bartered warhorse. She's also got the Knight's Vow as well, also got heavy armor as well as shield as well. And she's also riding a bartered warhorse, like I said before. She's also got the Virtue of Duty, which means so long as the general is alive, she adds +1 to this unit army's combat resolution at any point. And she also has the War Banner as well, giving her +1 combat resolution too. So that character alone, because she's also Battle Standard Bearer with the Virtue of Duty as well as the War Banner, she has 3 combat res just by herself, which is really, really important because with Bretonnian units, I have to break you in the first round of combat because I'm cavalry, so that's super important on that part. So it makes it really, really cool as well. And then she's also got, in that unit as well, she's got the rest of her knights as well. And that pretty much makes it my center line as well as left-hand side for my army. And Vanguard forward up is the Chasseurs L'Arve, another unit of 5 yeomen with crossbows. And in the center, I have the Bowmen of Baritz, which is a unit of 20 peasant bowmen armed with longbows. They also got defensive stakes as well as braziers for flaming attacks. And finally, making my right-hand side. On the right-hand side, we have the Hedge Knights. It is a unit of 18 questing knights with full command as well. They're packing great armor, heavy armor, as well, great weapons, heavy armor, as well as shields. Also bartered war horses as well. So that's a huge honking unit of questing knights. Now you might be wondering, why did I combine my 2 lances to 1 giant unit? The reason why is because that way I get monstrous ranks for one, monstrous cavalry ranks, so that way I can attack in a horde formation, which is really helpful as well. At the same time, it gives a little bit more staying power, and it can also act as a really good tar pitting unit. After fighting against King Khalifa and his Vagrant Brotherhood with that huge tar pitting of 21 Inner Circle Knights with great weapons, I kind of saw the value in that, so that's one of the reasons why I had it as well. And then over on the right hand side as well, I also have my unit, which is the Ravizan Guards, a unit of 24 men-at-arms. They have musicians as well as standard bearer. They got halberds, light armor, as well as shields, and that makes it my deployment here on the right hand side. And finally, Vanguard up forward is another unit of 5 yeomen called the Darney Rangers. There are 5 yeomen armed with crossbows. And that pretty much makes my deployment for this one. So deployment with the Blackstone Crusade over with, you go to across the table to my friend Smells Like Febreze and talk about the Wyld Hunt. Alright, so starting off with the Wyld Hunt on the left-hand side. In the back, we have the Sisters of Twilight, the special characters Naetra and Arahan, who are riding Kithin Har, the Forest Dragon. Naetra is armed with an Azrai Spear. She's got light armor. She also has the Conjoined Destiny special rule, as well as Talon of Dawn, which is a magical weapon that basically fires like a bolt thrower. We also have Arahan as well. She's equipped with Azrai Spear as well as light armor as well. She's armed with Talon of Dusk, which basically gives her 2d6 multiple poison attack shots at strength 1. And of course we have Kithin Har, which is a forest dragon with a sporific breath ability as well. So that's a really dangerous unit right out by itself. Right in front of them is a unit called the Court of Tides, unit 20 Dryads with a branch nymph. So moving directly to the center line, in the back there, that is Coeddil, the Willow Lord. He's a Treeman Ancient. He's also the general of this army as well. He's a level 4 wizard with a lore of life. He's also packing Strangle Roots as well. He's basically got the spells Flesh to Stone, Throne of Vines. He's also got Regrowth as well. I believe he's also got Shield of Thorns for his spells on that one. And right in front of them is another unit called the Troop of Twilight. The Troop of Twilight is a unit of 14 Glade Guard, which are basically just like, you know, Wood Elf Bowmen. They're armed with musicians as well as standard bearer. They got Azrai longbows, and they're also equipped with arcane bodkins, which means that they have AP 9-4 on that one. So I lose 4 of my armor saves with those arcane bodkins. So heavy armor is not going to do crap for me against these guys as well. They also got full command as well. They also got the Banner of Eternal Flames for flaming attacks because overkill is underrated. Right next to them, of course, another unit called the Court of Seasons, unit of 19 Dryads with a branch nymph, and leading that unit is the special character Dryka. She's also level 2 wizard with the lore of Shadow. She has the Enfeebling Foe as well as the Withering, and she also uses Rouse the Wrath ability to deploy 2 units with the Force Spirit special rule. And making up her right-hand flank in the back, that is Durthu. He's a special character. He's got the Lamentations of Despair, range attack. He's also got Blessing of Ancients. He's also got Frenzy, extra, you know, just absolutely just a killer in close combat as well. He's also level 1 wizard with the lore of Beasts. He's got Pann's Impenetrable Pelt, giving him +3 on his toughness to get that spell off. And right in front of him is the Court of Tides, another unit of 20 Dryads with a branch nymph. And finally, off to the side, on the left-hand side, these guys popped in the Rouse the Wrath ability during turn number 1. We have 2 units. Those guys are pulling on the left-hand side. We have the Troop of Dawn, the bottom left-hand corner, unit of 6 Treekin with a Treekin Elder. And then right next to him is Sternbark the Harrower, who is a Tree Man with Strangle Roots. And that pretty much makes up Smells Like Febreze deployment on this one. So with deployment over with, we go directly to the top of turn number 1 for the Wood Elves. So that takes directly to the top of turn number 1 for the Wood Elves, and the reason why the Wood Elves automatically go first is because I am Bretonnians. I take my first turn to take a knee to pray to the lady, so that way I get the blessings of the lady's special rules. So because that automatically goes to the Wood Elves, and this photo is taken after the movement phase. For the most part, nobody charges, and not much movement really happens for the most part. Her 3 units of Dryads, her Bowmen, as well as her Glade Guard, as well as Coeddil Willow Lord, they say exactly where they're at on their side, where the Wildwood is located at, because they get defensive bonuses as well as bonuses to magic. So why would they move? They're perfectly fine just hanging out over there. However, at the same time, during the remaining sub-movement phase, Sternbark the Harrower as well as the Troop of Dawn pop up in the bottom left-hand corner of the battlefield, and of course she starts assaulting on their flanks. For the first part, she basically march flies the Sisters of Twilight to the left-hand side between those buildings, right into the blind spot of the Realm Hussars. So it looks like she's going to try to go for a left-hand strike with a Tree Man, the Sisters of Twilight, as well as those Treekin, which would be very, very devastating. At the same time, she also does the same thing, marching Durthu over to the right-hand side as well, to that forest, the right-hand side, getting ready to put some pressure on my right-hand flank. And this is the kind of movement I'm used to seeing from Smells Like Febreze, because surround and pound is what she does best for the most part. So as a close-up of the movement phase, in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see the Troop of Dawn as well as Sternbark the Harrower, who have rised up on the battlefield using the Rouse to Wrath ability. And here's a close-up of the Sisters of Twilight, march flying over the left-hand side between those buildings, making their way to the ruined village directly to my left-hand flank. And here's a close-up of Smells Like Febreze main line, who are basically staying right next to the Wildwood, using the Wildwood as cover as well as receiving bonuses from it, because why wouldn't you? Playing defensively is really good for Wood Elves. And finally, here's a close-up of the far right-hand side, with Durthu taking cover between the forest there on the right-hand side, putting pressure on my right-hand flank as well. So with the movement phase over with, we go directly to the magic phase. And during magic phase, my friend Smells Like Febreze was only able to give 1 off spell. She managed to get out Throne of Vines because I had to let that spell go through for the most part. I pretty much stopped everything else. So it is a remain in play spell and does give her caster all kinds of bonuses, but at the same time though, no one else has received any major buffs that I'm aware of yet, so that part's kind of nice. So with the magic phase over with, we go directly to the shooting phase. And the shooting phase, Naetra and Arahan open up fire with their special weapons directly into the Realm Hussars. Managed to kill all 5 of my yeomen, like it's nobody's business, so that part was super tragic. At the same time, the Chasters of Low Arv also get riddled with arrows as well from those Arcane Bodkins, and that's when I find out that my opponent has Arcane Bodkins, which means I have -4 to my Armor save with Armor Piercing, so that is absolutely terrifying to go up against, because most of my guys are Armor save 2 up, which means, of course, most of them have to roll 6s, and so that's super scary when you have that, you know, when you're facing them down the barrel, that kind of shooting ability that my opponent had. So that part was terrifying as well. So with the shooting phase, we skip combat phase because no one's engaged in close combat, and we go directly to the bottom of turn number 1 for the Bretonnians. Alright, so that takes directly to the bottom of turn number 1 for the Bretonnians, and this photo is taken after the movement phase. The first thing I do, of course, is I declare a charge with the Hedge Knights directly into Durthu. It was a pretty long distance charge, but I was really hoping to make that distance and hopefully close the gap and engage them in close combat, because I have the Ranger standard on that unit, which means that that unit could, you know, doesn't work, they can ignore difficult terrain tests, which have been really, really awesome to get directly into Durthu. But unfortunately, though, I failed my charge test. I think I ran forward 6 inches when I ended up doing for the most part, so that part was kind of sad. At the same time, I also managed to restrain the impetuous test from my Silver Squires. Luckily, my general was in wearing, so because of that, they were perfectly fine. So because of that, we go directly to the sub-movement phase, and for the most part, I just kind of moved up forward gingerly for the most part. I wasn't really going to march forward too much because I didn't want to get countercharged. I want to do the charging because it's very important for a Bretonnian army, so that's exactly what I decided to do. I moved up my Blackstone Crusade as well as the Pride Lioness. I just moved up forward the normal moon allowance, using the buildings to the left-hand side to kind of reflect their left-hand flank from both the Treeman as well as the Treekin, also to protect my left-hand flank from the Sisters of Twilight as well. I don't want them charged directly into my flank that way. So that building kind of buys me some time, forcing Smells Like Febreze to do other things instead of just going directly to the flank. So that part was kind of nice. At the same time, I did a sweep freeform real quick with the Silver Squires. They moved to the left-hand side to face off against the Treekin, as well as the Treeman on the bottom left-hand side. I know my Silver Squires will be screwed if they decide to go into that combat, but at the same time, though, I'm more comfortable losing them than my Grail Knights. I also protect my Grail Knights' left-hand flank as well as the rear from being a rear charge as well, so that's the reason why I did that. At the same time, I also marched up my men-at-arms from the Ravizan Guard forward over to the right-hand side. Hopefully my goal is to catch Durthu in a pincer attack, being charged by Questing Knights in the front as well as Peasants to the right-hand flank, and hopefully can put some pressure on him that way, and that's what we're kind of doing for the most part. At the same time, I also move up my Darning Rangers up forward into kind of a blocking position, so that way nothing can charge from the right-hand flank into the right-hand, from the right-hand side of Smells Like Febreze lines into the right-hand flank of my Knights of the Realm, so that way they can kind of protect it that way as well. And of course, the Bowmen of Brits, they stand exactly where they're at because there's no reason for them to move. And that pretty much makes the move phase for this one. So here's a close-up of the Silver Squires doing a swift reform over to the left-hand side to protect the back ranks as well as the left-hand flank of my cavalry units in the center of my army. And here's a close-up of my Blackstone Crusade as well as my Pride Lioness moving up forward in order to start engaging my opponent's main lines. And here's a close-up of the Bowmen of Brits, as well as my Questing Knights from the Hedge Knights moving up forward in order to start engaging Durthu, and my Questing Knights failed their charge. And here's a close-up of my Darning Rangers moving up forward in order to get into a blocking position against the Court of Seasons with Draika, as well as, kind of march blocking my opponent for the most part. And finally, here's also a close-up of the Ravizan Guard marching up forward to protect the right-hand flank of the Hedge Knights as well. So in the movement phase over with, you go directly in the magic phase. And in the magic phase, I do apologize. I did forget to mention I did have another character in my army as well. His name is Warren, the Hermit of Shalons. He is a monk of the ladies, basically what he is. He's a level 2 wizard. Basically, he's a lore of beasts is what ended up happening as well. He has a Dispel Scroll, as well as a Ruby Ring of Ruin. He's also got Wyld Heart with Whiston's Wild Form, as well as the Amber Spear. And he's riding with my Grail Knights. I forgot to mention that earlier. I do apologize for that. And Lorelei of the Ravens, she's my level 4 prophetess, who's riding with my Knights of the Realm. So anyways, during the magic phase, I was able to get Whiston's Wild Form off onto my unit of Knights Errant, giving those guys +1 to their strength as well as +1 to their toughness as well. The rest of my spells were pretty much dispelled from my opponent, and this pretty much makes it my turn as well. My shooting phase is pretty uneventful, and since no one's engaged in close combat, there is no combat phase, so we go directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Wood Elves. Alright, so that takes directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Wood Elves, and during this turn my opponent tried to charge, but unfortunately Smells Like Febreze failed all of her charges for the most part. The first thing she does, of course, she declares a charge with Durthu. Durthu fails his charge. He moves up forward 3 inches out of the right on the outskirts of the forest, directly towards my Hedge Knights. At the same time, she also declares a charge with the Sisters of Twilight directly against my Blackstone Crusade, because you can see that my Blackstone Crusade kind of pokes out there in the top left-hand side, so she tried to charge the left-hand flank. Luckily for me, though, she failed her charge, so because of that, that guy only goes forward a couple of inches as well, so because of that, not much going on there. And luckily for me, in the bottom left-hand corner, exact same thing happens. Sternbark the Harrower, as well as the Troop of Dawn, they try to declare charge against the Silver Squires. Both of them fail their charge. I believe Sternbark went forward 4 inches, and I think the Troop of Dawn went up 3 inches, I think, was what ended up having for there. So because of that, all the charges fell for the most part. They just kind of stumbled forward for their charges. The rest of the battle line, however, they stay exactly located at because there is no reason for them to move. So here's a close-up of the failed charge in the movement phase with Sternbark the Harrower, as well as the Troop of Dawn. They're just kind of still getting, bonuses from the Force, however, so that part's kind of rough. And here's a close-up of the failed charge, the Sisters of Twilight. So as you see, they're just kind of moving through the center of town at the most part, not doing much of anything. And here's a close-up of Smells Like Febreze main battle lines, just kind of standing their ground next to that Wildwood, not moving, because why should they? They're fighting defensively against an all-cavalry army. And finally, here's a close-up of the failed charge with Durthu going directly into the Hedge Knights. Unfortunately for him, he only went forward a couple inches as well. So with the move phase over with, you go directly to the magic phase. During the magic phase, I was able to dispel most of Smells Like Febrze's spells. However, she did manage to get Flesh to Stone off directly onto the Troop of Twilight. So now those Wood Elves are now toughness 7 because they get +4 toughness because of the Throne of Vines ability on those guys as well. So those are some tough Wood Elves, and I'm not charging those guys because toughness 7 Wood Elves is no joke whatsoever. Aside from that, though, I was able to pretty much dispel everything else. And the shooting phase, however, that part was not so awesome. The Troop of Twilight opened up directly with their Azrai longbows with arcane bodkins directly into my Pride of Lioness. Managed to kill 4 of my Knights of the Realm, so that part was horrific. I failed my armor saves. Like I said before, with that -4 AP, I had to roll a 6 up in order to survive my armor saves. Failed my armor saves terribly, and at the same time, the lady did not protect. I must have, done something wrong to a body of water recently, because none of those ward saves kicked in and those guys got killed. So that part was horrific. I was absolutely appalled by the loss of destruction I got on that one. So that part was absolutely terrible. So the magic shooting phase over, there is no close combat, so we skip the combat phase, and we go directly to the bottom of turn number 2 for the Bretonnians. So we go directly to the bottom of turn number 2, and I say YOLO, and I charge forward. And the reason why is because after watching those arcane bodkins tear apart my Pride of Lioness, I just realized that sticking around and getting shot at is not going to do me any favors. I got to commit, I got to go in, I got to destroy some people, and that's exactly what I do. The very first charge to declare, of course, is with the Silver Squires. They go directly into Sternbark the Harrower because, let's face it, if I'm going to charge something big. They got Wiston's Wild Form on them right now, giving them +1 to their strength as well as their toughness. They also got +1 from their Iron Tree banner, +2 strength from their lances as well. So basically that gives me 4 up strength on strength 3 guys. It makes them strength 7, which could really cause a lot of pain for Sternbark the Harrower. So I send those guys in first. The next thing I do, of course, I declare a charge with my Blackstone Crusade. They go successfully smash directly into the Court of Oaths on the left-hand side. Plan on taking out those Dryads. I also declare a charge with the Pride of Lioness directly into the Court of Seasons, which is the same unit that has Dryka in it as well, and charge directly into those guys. So smash directly into those guys as well. I also declare a charge with the Hedge Knights. They go directly into Durthu, catch them directly into the front. Now I do declare a charge with the Ravizan Guard, but unfortunately for me, though, I failed my charge and they only went forward, I think, 3 or 4 inches to the right. So I didn't get my pincer off attack like I really wanted to, but them's the break at this point. And then finally, I take the Darning Rangers. I kind of move over to the right-hand side to protect the right-hand flank of my of the Pride of Lioness as well, so that way they don't get flanked by that other unit of Dryads. And the Bowmen of Brits, they just kind of stand on the ground because there's no reason for them to move. So with the move phase over with, let's go and talk about the close-ups on that one. So here you can see, here's a close-up of the move phase. As you can see that the Silver Squires have gone directly into Sternbark the Harrower, so hopefully I can cause some problems with those guys. Unfortunately for me, I might lose my Wiston's Wild Form by the magic phase happens, but that's okay though, because these guys will be at strength, 3, so strength 6, so that's still putting some pretty good wound against Sternbark the Harrower, who's toughness 6, and they need 4 ups to wound him, so those are pretty good odds, all things considered. And here's a close-up of the Blackstone Crusade going directly into the Court of Oaths, and I'm just looking forward to that fight because I also have my Paladin with her Killing Blow. I got my General in that unit. I got Grail Knights, in a Lance formation, full-blown. That's going to be super exciting to see exactly how that one goes. At the same time, here's a close-up of my Pride of Lioness going directly into the Court of Seasons with Dryka. And I'm actually looking for that one because I got 3-up combat res, so that's really nice on that. Static all the time because my character has it with her virtue. She's got the War Banner as well as Battle Standard Bearer as well. And she's also got a Standard Bearer in these units as well, which is going to be 4-up with combat res. I got a rank, I also got a charge. So right off the bat, I'm winning this combat by 6. So hopefully I can cause some damage and break this unit because that part will be all kinds of awesome. And here's a close-up of the Darning Rangers protecting the right-hand flank of the Party Lioness against the Court of Tides, so that part's going to be kind of cool. And finally, here's a close-up of the Knights, the Hedge Knights going directly into Durthu, catching him directly in the front, and the failed charge of my Revezan Guard directly into his right-hand flank. So, while I did not get a pincer attack like I really wanted to, it's still pretty good, because I got a bunch of Quest Knights going directly into this guy, and they're going to hi-ho this guy and chop him to kindling, hopefully. And that's what I'm hoping for. So with the move phase over with, we go directly in the magic phase. And during the magic phase, Revenge of the Powder Monkey. For the most part, I was able to pull out most of my opponent's Dispel dice. I tried to cast Weston's Wild Form again, once again for my unit of Knights of the Realms, that way they get +1 their strength. My opponent quickly dispelled that one as well. I also tried to get Wrath of Righteousness off as well, pulled a bunch of Dispel dice on that one. However, I took the Fire Eating Power dice I had, I threw that directly into Spiteful Glance, and I got that spell off. My opponent was unable to dispel it, and because of that, Coeddil the Warlord had to take a initiative check. Now, anybody who's ever gone against Treeman, no, Treeman have horrible initiative. They have an initiative of 2 on this part of the deck, so because of that, he fails his initiative test, and just like that, Coeddil the Warlord is killed, and I also killed my enemy's general, and I also shut down Smells Like Febreze in Magic Phase too, because without their level 4 caster, the only thing she has left is level 2 caster with Draco, who I'm about to destroy in close combat, hopefully, as well as Durthu, who's only level 1 caster. So things are looking pretty good in my favor. So with the Magic Phase over with, we go directly to the Shooting Phase. And the shooting phase, the Bowmen of Brits, as well as my Darning Rangers, concentrate fire with crossbows as well as longbows directly into the Court of Tides. Unfortunately for me, I was only able to kill 2 of those Dryads. That was really about it. Those forest covers they get from the forest is really helping them out, so I was able to do much of nothing against those guys. But that's 2 less Dryads I got to worry about, so that part was kind of nice. So the shooting phase over with, go directly to the combat phase. In the combat phase did not go very well with the Silver Squires. In the end, I was able to only put 2 wounds onto Sternbark the Harrower. Luckily for me, I only lost 2 of my Knights Errant as a result of that, so that part was kind of nice. But the reason why it was not good is because I forgot that Treeman are stubborn. I forgot about that. They have that special rule for them, so no matter what you throw at them, they're always rolling off on their unmodified leadership. And, you know, they have really good leadership as well, because Treeman don't break, not especially with leadership 9. So because of that, I went nowhere. And that's a really bad spot for these Silver Squires, because now they lost all their strength bonuses because they're no longer charging anymore. So those guys are just mincemeat. They're dead. You know it. I know it. All they're going to be good for is just tar pitting those unit of Treekin as well as Treeman for as long as they can. However, combat over here on the left-hand side between the Blackstone Crusade and the Court of Oaths, that part was absolutely awesome. I managed to kill 10 of those guys right off the bat. They did manage to kill 2 of my Grill Knights, which is not so great. However, Dryads do not have Stubborn, which is kind of nice. They're still victimized to combat res, so I won basically by 8 combat just from wounds alone. I also charged, gave me a 9. I also got a Standard Bearer, which also gives me a 10 because Dryads don't have that. I also had 2 ranks on top of that, giving me a grand total of 12. Needless to say, my opponent had to roll Snake Eyes. She did not roll Snake Eyes, so because that, her unit broke as well as fled as well. I tested to restrain, and luckily for me, I passed my leadership, and the reason why is because I redirect my Grail Knights to go directly to face off with a combat reform directly into the Troop of Twilight. I plan on charging those guys next turn. Their magical buffs go away in the next magic phase, and I plan on killing me some Wood Elves, which will be absolutely fantastic. Alright, so from there we go directly to the combat phase between the Knights of the Realm for the Pride of Lioness against the Court of Seasons. Luckily for me, though, my opponent decided to issue a challenge. Draco decided to issue a challenge directly to my Paladin, Jean de Ray, the Marshal of Lioness, and she decides to accept it. Even though she's my Battle Standard Bearer, I decided to let that go because, you know, let's face it, that's what exactly we need to do in this situation. So because of that, I go up against her and fight a one-on-one combat. In the end, she was able to put 1 wound on me, and I was able to put 1 wound on Draco, which is absolutely fantastic. The rest of the combat phase follows shortly afterwards. She doesn't do anything against any of my Knights, which is absolutely fantastic. I was able to kill 2 of her Dryads, so that was awesome. So because I won by 2 as well, I also have got a rank, but the real kicker here is I got a Standard Bearer in this unit, I also charge, and I also have the War Banner, I have the Virtue of Duty, and a Battle Standard Bearer, so that gives me 3 of combat res static. Now, she does have a rank, so it drops me by 1 point, and she also caused a wound as well, but I still won this combat by 6. And unfortunately for an all-forest spirit army, they don't have a Battle Standard Bearer. She has to take a break test, and unfortunately for her, she failed that break test. The Dryads break and run. Luckily for her, though, they run off the table. I don't get to destroy them, but they fled off the edge of the table anyway, so I still get the points. I decided to pursue, and I overrun directly into the Troop of Twilight. So because of that, now that unit's going to be facing against two knights, units of two Lances of Knights, one of Knights of the Realm, as well as one of Grail Knights, and I'm looking forward to breaking those Wood Elves, because them having that -4 AP on their shooting attacks is deathly scary. Me on the right-hand side, the Hedge Knights managed to lose 3 of their number, getting killed by Durthu. I was able to put 1 wound on a Durthu as well. Wasn't a very great showing for my guys, but, you know, them's the breaks, I guess. Luckily for me, though, unfortunately, not lucky for me, luckily for Smells Like Febreze, however, she hasn't to worry about taking any modifiers for combat res, because Durthu is stubborn. So because of that, he just rolls on his unmodified leadership of 10, and he goes nowhere, because Treeman don't break. So because of that, these guys will be going for another round of combat, which is perfectly fine, because I have great weapons, and this is a heavy armor unit. It's a great tar pitting unit. That's exactly what I designed these guys to do. So while I may be tar pitted by Durthu, Durthu is also tar pitted by me as well, so it kind of works out for the most part between both our groups. So that part was absolutely awesome. And that takes directly to the end of the turn. Alright, so that takes directly to the top of turn number 3 for the Wood Elves, and this photo is taken after the move phase. And as you can see in this photo, the charges go off for the most part. The first thing that Smells Like Febreze does, she decides to declare a charge with the Troop of Dawn. They go directly into the left-hand flank of my Silver Squires, and just between you and me, I know those guys are dead, so that part doesn't really bother me too much. At the same time, she also charges in the Court of Ties directly into the Darnay Rangers. Now, while my 5 yeomen are going to get killed, I mean, that's what they do best. I mean, they're just there to get killed for the most part, to act as chaff, so I'm not really too concerned about it for the most part. Everything else is pretty much engaged in close combat, so nothing else really moves, except for the Sisters of Twilight. They've decided to fly directly to behind the Grail Knights of the Blackstone Crusade. Just do normal movement for that one, which is a bad thing because they can still shoot at my Grail Knights, and I'm not looking forward to that, especially with that breath weapon, because it's got Sporific Breath, which I think is like a -3 AP, so that's really, really bad as well. So things are not looking very good right now for my Grail Knights. I totally forgot about those Sisters of Twilight. Alright, so that takes directly to the close-up of the movement phase. As you can see, here's the close-up of the Troop of Dawn, as well as Stormbark the Harrower, going up against my Silver Squires, and those poor Knight Errants are going to die really badly. I know that for a fact. And here's a close-up of the Sisters of Twilight with Kithen Har getting ready to rain down some long death destruction, as well as some trippy Dragon Breath, getting ready to open that directly onto my Grail Knights. And here's a close of the Court of Tides going directly into my Darnay Rangers, and between you and me, I know my Darnay Rangers are going to die, because no way they're going to survive attack against Dryads en masse. And here's a close-up of Durthu getting engaged in close combat with my Hedge Knights, so those guys will be going another round of combat as well. So with the movement phase over with, you go directly to the magic phase. So during the magic phase, my opponent was able to get off Pann's Impenetrable Pelt, giving him +3 to the toughness of Durthu, but he was able to do that because he miscast 11 on that one.
Klaatu, Verada,
which pretty much means that Durthu is no longer level 1 wizard. He can't cast that spell ever again, and my opponent's magic phase is now completely shut down because all the magic users were gone. At the same time, that also gives him toughness 9, so I have my work cut out for me, and there's no way I'm going to put any wounds on that guy, so that part was kind of rough. So with that, we go directly to the shooting phase, and as you can see in this photo, the Sisters of Twilight as well as Kithen Har decided to concentrate fire directly onto the Blackstone Crusade. Now, luckily for me, my Blackstone Crusade managed to survive unscathed by the attacks from both Naetra and Arahan. Their long-range shots from their magic bows did nothing against my army, which is actually kind of nice. That part was absolutely fantastic. I was able to armor save things, and things I was able to armor save the Lady Protected, so that part was absolutely awesome. What was not so awesome, however, was Kithen Har opening up fire with his Sporific Breath. When he fired it from that angle along that entire lance, that teardrop template basically went down the entire length of my unit, so it pretty much caught everybody on that blast template, so that part was horrific. Luckily for me, the banner defense really happened, so that part was really lucky. I managed to survive all of it except for one guy, and one guy did die. And as the rule states, if you suffer at least 1 wound from that Sporific ability, breath ability, then the whole unit suffers from stupidity. So suddenly, the world starts looking juicy. From my guys, the world starts looking really wobbly and made out of gelatin, because now my guys are tripping, and because they're all hallucinating, they're basically affected by stupidity for the rest of the battle, which is actually not such a bad thing, because the way we saw it, okay, here was the problem that we come into effect when we actually saw it, right? With Grail Knights are basically immune to a lot of the psychology rules, and that was the thing that we were talking about earlier, because of their Grail vows, right? So things like, what was it? They have immunity to psychologies with it for the most part, okay? And the reason why that was the case is because they have their Grail Knight rules. That's how it worked. However, my friend decided, when Smells Like Febreze hit me with this perfect breath, she was like, oh, stupidity doesn't count on them because they're immune to psychology, because they got the Grail vows, right? But the way I ruled on it, though, was that no, because the Sporific attack puts stupidity on them after the fact, then they're not immune to psychology anymore. That's how I kind of viewed it. Like, they're not afraid of anything, right? Because they're Grail Knights and they've seen everything there is to see in combat, so nothing affects them. However, even if you've seen everything and you're not scared of anything, if you get hit with a hallucinogen, you're still going to hallucinate, no matter how tough you are, unless you have some kind of magical fence to stop that. So our rationale was that, yeah, even though they might be immune to psychology initially, because the stupidity came later, that's what got them affected by it. And that's how I kind of rationalized it out. I don't know what you guys think about that. Put your comments below how you guys would have ruled on it. I ruled in favor for my opponent. I said, no, I could see that happening. You know, they get dosed with the magic fairy dust from the dragon. And so because Puff the Magic Dragon lit them up, they're going to be hallucinating now. So that's how we decided to roll on that one as well. So because of that, my unit now has stupidity, which is actually kind of crazy. Which is not so bad considering they got leadership 10, so it's not that bad. But at the same time, you know, that's just one thing I got to worry about, which is actually kind of funny. So with the shooting phase over, we go directly to the combat phase. You can see in this photo, the Silver Sentinels, or Silver Squires, man, those guys got killed. They did not stand a chance whatsoever. They got destroyed. Smells Like Febreze is a quick combat reform like thus. As you can see here, the Troubadours are making their way directly towards my Bowman of Brits. At the same time, Sternbach the Harrower beelines into the upper left-hand corner to start engaging my knights, so that part was kind of sad. Meanwhile, in the combat phase, I forgot to take a photo of the combat phase. I did take this initial photo. I forgot to take the photo afterwards, so I do apologize for that one. Combat was absolutely fantastic. I managed to kill 6 of those Wood Elves, so that part was pretty nice. At the same time, they managed to kill one of my knights, so that part was kind of sad. But at the same time, with my ranks, as well as my static combat res, for the way I kitted out my Paladin BSB, I won this combat by a landslide. They fled, is what they ended up doing, because they failed their break test. I tested restraint, so I passed my leadership test, so my guys don't go after them. And what I decided to do is a combat reform. I basically do a 180 with my Knights of the Realm is what I decided to do on that part. Made it a flip around so that they could face off against the Sisters of Twilight. I forgot to take that photo, so I do apologize for that part. Meanwhile, the combo between Durthu as well as my Hedge Knights was completely one-sided. With him being toughness 9, I was not doing anything to him. I basically lost 3 knights, 3 questing knights, so I got pretty lucky on that one. It could have been much worse. I got really lucky on that part. So I did lose 3 of my questing knights. I do lose combat, but I managed to pass my leadership test, so because of that, they're still engaged for another round of combat as well. So the combat phase over, we go directly to the bottom of the turn for the Bretonnians. And that takes us directly to the bottom of turn number 3 for the Bretonnians, and this photo is taken after the move phase. So the first thing I decided to do is I declare a charge forward with my Knights for the Realm from the Pride of Lioness. I go directly into the Sisters of Twilight. I decided to charge directly into those guys as well. I then do a quick reform with my Grail Knights. Now my Grail Knights look like they charged forward. They didn't charge forward, they just did a quick combat reform is all, okay? They didn't charge forward. They're perfectly there, they're not engaged. The only units that's engaged right now is my Knights of the Realm right now, so they're engaged in close combat with those guys as well. At the same time, I do declare a charge with my Ravizan Guard. They go directly to the right-hand flank of Durthu. So now Durthu's stuck in a pincer attack, but they really don't care for the most part because, you know, there's nothing there as well. I forgot to mention, too, during the combat phase, I forgot to take some photos in the combat phase. My Darnay Rangers, of course, got slaughtered by the Coeddil Tides, in case you didn't think that was going to happen. So I does leave my Knight units open in the back, but that's perfectly fine for me as far as I'm concerned because it's a long charge. They might not make it. And hopefully I can kill the Sisters of Twilight and be done with them and not worry about them. And that's what I'm kind of hoping for the most part. So here's a close-up of my Knights of the Realm from the Pride Lioness going directly into the Sisters of Twilight. They're engaged in close combat with them. The Grail Knights are not engaged in close combat. They just did a quick combat reform is all they did. And here's a close-up of my Knights, my Hedge Knights, as well as Ravizan Guard catching Durthu in a pincer attack. So that part is super exciting. So during the magic phase, I managed to buff up the heck out of my unit of Knights of the Realm for the most part. So first thing I managed to do is cast off Wiston's Wall Form directly onto my Pride of Lioness, giving those guys +1 strength and +1 toughness, make them strength 4, toughness 4 for my regular Knights, as well as making my Paladin Jean de Ray managed to gain Curse strength 5, toughness 5, which is absolutely fantastic. At the same time, I also cast Ladies Virtue of Valor off onto that unit as well, giving them +1 to their weapon skill, their initiative, also their strength and toughness. So now my Knights of the Realm are strength 5, toughness 5, while my paladin Jean Dery, she's basically strength 6, toughness 6, which could be absolutely fantastic. So that part was also nice as well. The rest of my magic spells, however, were dispel for the most part, but you know, at least I got those ones off, the ones that really counted. And during the shooting phase, I was able to plink off a couple more dryads from the Court of O's with the Bowmen of Brits using their long-range firepower from their longbows. So that part was absolutely kind of cool. So during the combat phase, all hail Lair of the Beasts. So my opponent decides to issue a challenge. Oh, what she decides to do? She issues a challenge directly with her character. What was it? Naetra and Arahan. Naetra and Arahan basically declare a challenge directly into my character Lair of the Beast is what he decided to do as well. So Lair of the Beast, he was able to kill Kithan Har using his heroic killing blow ability as well. I managed to get 2 attacks off. He basically gets 3 attacks. He got 2 of his attacks off. He got 2 6s on that part. So that part was absolutely fantastic. I was able to kill, I believe, one of the sisters, which was Naetra, I believe was the one I was able to kill. I was also able to kill Kithan Har as well. So those guys got defeated, which was absolutely fantastic as well. And because of that, the other attack, of course, went directly into her. That also dropped her a wound as well for Arahan. So she only had 1 wound left, so she was pretty, you know, still pretty alive at that point as well. They also managed to put a wound directly onto my guy as well with the sisters, because the sisters got to attack first. They put a wound directly onto Lair the Beast, so that part was kind of rough. But because Lair the Beast also has a horse, his mount was the one that was able to finish off Arahan as well. Managed to slip that last wound, managed to kill her. My friend Smells Like Febreze failed her armor save and her ward save, so because that girl got killed, and just like that, that unit got destroyed, which is all kinds of awesome. Meanwhile, combat over here on the right-hand side between Durthu as well as my Ravizan Guard as well as my Hedge Knights did not go according to plan. I did nothing against Durthu during this time period as well. Now, it does say +3 toughness right next to him. Ignore that part. I mean that part would have had a lot to do with it as well. I wasn't able to cause any injuries to him for the most part. I wasn't able to get through his armor for that part, so that really suffered. So I lost one more questing knight. He decided to put his normal attacks directly into my questing knights. He decided to put a stomp attack directly into my Ravizan Guard. Killed 6 of those guys, which was absolutely horrific as well. Luckily for me, though, my guys are steadfast. They get to roll off on their unmodified leadership, and since they're within a unit of knights, they use my knight's leadership to stand their ground, so both groups are still there, and they're going for another round. So with that, we go directly to the top of turn number 4 for the Wood Elves, and this photo is taken after the moon phase, and my friend Smells Like Febreze decides to take the attack. She charges in the Court of Tides, as well as Sternbark the Harrower directly into my Pride of Lioness, catching those guys in a pincer attack, so that part was kind of rough as well. At the same time, the Treekin down below from the Troop of Dawn, they declared a charge against my Bowmen and Brits. They tried to charge 4, but unfortunately for them, they failed their charge, and they went up, I think, 5 inches, what they did for the most part. Meanwhile, Durthu is still bogged down the right-hand side, and that pretty much makes it the moon phase. So here's a close-up of Sternbark the Harrower, as well as the Court of Tides, catching my unit of Knights of the Realm, the Pride of Lioness, directly into a pincer attack, so that part is kind of tragic. And here's a close-up of the Troop of Dawn failing their charge into the Bowmen of Brits. And there's a close-up of Durthu still engaged in close combat with my unit of Questing Knights from the Hedge Knights, as well as the Ravizan Guard as well. So we skip the shooting phase as well as the magic phase, because nobody has magic at this point, no one has shooting, and we go directly to the combat phase. And the combat phase, all hail the combat phase. Lair of the Beast, he puts down another monster with his heroic killing blow. Managed to kill Sternbark the Harrower, rolling, I think, 2 6s on that part. So my opponent did have to roll 2 ward saves. A ward saves of 6. Needless to say, he fails to do so. And with a timber, Sternbark the Harrower flashes down, falls to the ground, and is killed right off the bat at the same time. The Dryads were unable to get through my armor, which is kind of nice as well. I was able to counterattack with my other paladin, which was Jean Dery, the Marshal of Lioness. She basically made way to the back, managed to kill 2 more Dryads, which was absolutely fantastic, and the Dryads weren't able to do anything to me. I did a quick combat reform real quick to face off against them, so now I'm facing them forward, which is absolutely fantastic. Meanwhile, combat between the Hedge Knights as well as Durthu and the Ravizan Guard did not go according to plan. I was able to put, I think, 2 more wounds on him, so that part was kind of nice, because his Pann's Impenetrable goes away during the magic phase, so that was kind of nice. I was able to put 2 wounds onto him. One, I think, came from my Ravaged Vanguard. I think another one came from my Questing Knights for the most part. Now, he, of course, counterattacked. He put his basic attacks directly into my Questing Knights. Kind of flipped his rolls for the most part, just because of that Smells Like Febreze. She only managed to kill one of my Questing Knights. And she does a Stomp attack. I think she rolls a 2 on that one on my Ravaged Vanguard. Kills 2 of my Peasants. My Peasants are steadfast. They roll on their modified leadership. So everyone's happy and good. Everyone's kind of standing on the ground for the most part, which is absolutely fantastic. So from there, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 4 for the Bretonnians, and I decide to, try to finish off my opponent. Smells Like a Breeze has no quit in her, and neither do I. So the first thing I do, of course, I just march up the... well, first of all, I managed to pass my stupidity test with my Blackstone Crusade. They march up forward, going between the buildings of the village to the left-hand side to kind of sneak around the back to kind of catch the Troop of Dawn and a pincer attack. Now, I decide to get rid of my defensive stakes. What I decided to do, I just kind of decided to upturn those, and I just kind of have my Bowman of Brits do a swift reform to face the left, so that way they can shoot at those Treekin. Those Treekin are flammable. I do have flaming attacks, so it's just a recipe for wonderful, wonderful disaster to burn some trees down. At the same time, my Knights of the Realm are still engaged in close combat with the Court of Tides at the top, so the Pry Lioness are still stuck there. I also did a swift reform real quick, combat reform real quick with my Questing Knights from the Nedge Knights, so that way they're in a Lance formation, so that way they get rank bonuses. The reason why is because I need to get more attacks against Durthu, and that's the reason why I decided to adopt that formation. Not that I'm going to use rank bonuses to already break my opponent's leadership, because he's stubborn, so he's not going to worry about doing anything else. And everybody else is engaged in close combat, and that pretty much makes up my movement phase. So here's a close-up of the Blackstone Crusade trying to sneak up behind and catch the back ranks of the Troop of Dawn, and that's pretty much my plan on that one. And here's a close-up of my Knights of the Realm with the Pride Lioness still engaged in close combat with the Court of Tides. And I'm looking forward to that one because I got 3-up combat res all the time with my character Jean de Ray. And at the same time, I also got my buffs for my spells, so this should make short work of some Twig people. And here's a close-up of the Bowman of Brits doing a swift reform to face off directly against the Troop of Dawn. And here's a close-up of my Questing Knights from the Hedge Knights, as well as the Ravaged Guard going to a pincer attack with Durthu once again. And that pretty much makes the move phase. So the move phase over with, go directly to the magic phase. And in the magic phase, I roll Snake Eyes for the Winds of Magic. So because of that, all my buffs go away and not much really happens. So I guess the lady does not believe in protecting magic phases, which is kind of sad. So with the magic phase over with, we skip the shooting phase because all my shooting elements move. So there's no shooting phase. And we go directly to the combat phase. So in the combat phase, good night, sweet paladin, your oath has been fulfilled. So in the magic on the combat phase, Jean Lair, he does get killed. Lair the Beast does get killed, which is really, really sad. The Branch Nymph, I declared a challenge directly into him. The Branch Nymph just kills my guy right off the bat, so that part was really, really sad. I failed my armor tests. I also failed my armor saves, rather. I also failed my Blessing the Lady phase, so that also really hurt. So because of that, Lair the Beast, he does get killed, which is kind of sad. However, when I decided to counterattack, however, I was able to kill 4 of the Dryads and kill one of my guys as well. So with the 3 that I get from the kills, from wounds, I also got my 3 for my combat res as well as 1 for my standard. I win this combat by 7. My friend Smells Like a Breeze has to roll Snake Eyes to stay. Needless to say, she does not roll Snake Eyes. I pursue them, I killed them, and I destroyed that unit of Dryads, and I stomp on their twigs that remain of their dusty remains for killing Lair the Beast. So that part was kind of sad, but them's the break at the most part. And finally, I was able to kill Durthu, so with a shout of timber in the air, I do manage to kill that guy as well. My friend, her normal attacks with Durthu basically flubbed her basic attacks with that guy. At the same time, she decided to direct her stomp attacks directly into my Questing Knights, killed 2 of them, which was kind of sad, but it was not unexpected, so that part was kind of crazy. But the regular attacks from my Ravaged Guard, as well as from my Questing Knights, was enough to finally finish off that guy. So he goes crash to the ground, and he is dead. And at this point in the game, that my friend Smells Like Febreze decided to surrender at this point. The only thing she has left is 1 unit of Treekin, and she's not going to win the game using those guys. So because of that, she does surrender, and the Bretonnians net another victory in their marathon against all the studios. I'm ready to see exactly how these guys stack up. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, go directly to the after action report because this game is now officially over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Sure, I could have stayed in the past. Could have even been king. But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
Alright folks, now it's time for the After Action Report. This is part of the battle report. We talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn for the next time that we do battle. This is the After Action Report for the Golden Age Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report number 109, and this one ended up being a victory for yours truly. In the end, I was able to score 2,917 points from Smells Like Febreze, and Smells Like Febreze was able to score 683 points. For my losses, I lost Lair of the Beasts, the Silver Squires, the Darning Rangers, the Riom Hussars, and the Chasseurs La Arve. Smells Like Febreze, she lost Durthu, Coeddil the Will Lord, the Sisters of Twilight, the Court of Seasons, the Court of Tides, the Court of Oaths, the Troop of Twilight, and Sternbark the Harrower. This battle was insane. So much back and forth for the first half of the battle. It was absolutely fantastic as well. And unfortunately, I didn't do a very good job protecting my flanks, and so I got really lucky on this one, because had those charges gone off at the bottom of turn, top of turn number 2, this battle would have gone completely different had all those charges were able to succeed. Luckily for me, though, she was able to do so. Like I said, I did have my army change. I do like having the changes that I made so far. Nothing against the special character Rapunzel de Lioness, but she didn't do very much for the points that she had. She was like 230 points all by herself, and she wasn't able to do much of anything with her abilities, so I decided to change up. And I really liked my paired paladin tag team of Jean Duray as well as Lair of the Beast in my Pride of Lioness unit. I got my static combat res with my battle standard bearer paladin. I got the heroic killing blow for Lair of the Beasts. It just synergizes well, and it just also really goes really good too. And this battle was actually kind of different as well. This battle was really different in a lot of ways. There were a lot of failed charges in this battle, and magic phase ended up being pretty weak during this battle for the most part. Once I killed Coeddil the Will Lord, however, I pretty much ran the magic phase, which was really nice, but the winds were not with me for the second half of the game, so there was also that as well. And the Hedge Knights, a massive unit of 18 Questing Knights, as a perfect flank defending unit. It tied up Durthu for the entirety of the battle, exactly what I designed those guys to do. I was really inspired by King Khalifa's Vagrant Brotherhood, which is a unit of 21 Inner Circle Knights with great weapons, and I saw what those guys can do when they target units, so I like having my version of that with my Questing Knights, which really helped as well. Also, destroying the Dryad units also really helped, especially since they fled off the table for the most part. Having that 3-up combat resolution with Jean Duray really helped out a lot. She's got her BSB giving her +1, the Virtue of Duty giving her +2, and the War Banner giving her +3. Gives her 3-up combat res all the time on a cavalry unit, which is really important because they need to break people on the charge. Really awesome combination, especially when you put Lair the Beast with his heroic killing blow as well. Not to mention the the Virtue of Heroism, killing blowing a tree man and a forest dragon, as well as one of the Twilight Sisters and the Sisters of Twilight as well, all by himself. Between him and his horse doing that, I mean, that is absolutely fantastic. I don't care what anybody says. Heroic Killing Blow is the bomb. I never actually played Heroic Killing Blow before, but so far I am liking what I'm seeing so far, so I'm going to keep that kid out for that paladin in my army for as long as I play the Bretonnians, because that guy is absolutely fantastic. So this still ended with a victory for me, so I'm really happy about that part. So far my army right now with the Blackstone Crusade stands at 7 wins as well as 2 losses. Wasn't all that bad, all things considered. Now granted, I am using unofficial rules from the Warhammer Armies project for my army, but you know, it's not too overpowered in my opinion. It still kind of balances out for the most part, so I'm really liking what I'm seeing so far. And as always, this was an awesome game and against an amazing opponent, and as always, I am looking forward to the rematch. So that's going to do it for this one, you guys, for Battle Report number 109. Please feel free to comment, like, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is always appreciated. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news that's related to this channel. That's going to do it for this one, you guys. We will catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.